How you doing, Al? It's good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too. Doing well.
We're gonna have a little chat today about alumni stuff. You've been selected to represent, so I'm gonna do my best to ask some questions that can challenge a big leaguer.
I
You're a
appreciate that.
2005 graduate. I can honestly say one of the top three players in my career as head coach at Eckerd College. You were blessed with a throwing arm that was unmatched. And I say that unequivocally. 40 years of coaching, I've never seen anything like you. You were a weapon. And because you were a weapon, that's why I put you in the top three that ever played for me. You signed in
Appreciate
'06 as
that.
a free agent. I remember that day. You can talk about that. It was my first day as a baseball agent. So we'll reflect on that a little bit. Played through 2013 with the Rays, 2014 with the Tigers, then launched a coaching career that has been meteoric. So a lot of kids dream about going to the big leagues, and I'm going to kind of start there and work backwards. December 11th, you get a phone call, San Francisco Giants. Kind of walk me through the process of getting the phone call. What was going on in your head, and the process that got you where you are now?
Whew. Yeah, that day was an emotional roller coaster. I'll tell you that. Everything kind of transpired the night before. Eric Neander, the Rays GM, called me up. It was late. It was late that Monday night, I believe, the 10th. It was like, hey, the Giants want to reach out to you. They want to talk to you about a big league opportunity with them. He's like, I'm not sure what the role is. We're going to grant permission for them to talk to you. So you should hear from either Farhan or Scott or Gabe Kapler tomorrow. I was like, okay, thanks, man. It was a good conversation, and needless to say, I didn't really sleep much that night, knowing that the next day I was gonna possibly interview for a big league coaching job. So definitely did not sleep, and Cap called me up. Gabe Kapler called me up. The manager called me up the next morning around 9 a.m. Eastern time. So he was up early on the West Coast, and we had a nice conversation. The conversation probably took about an hour and a half. We dug into some baseball. We kind of have some history together. In 2009, we were in big league camp together with the Rays. He worked for the Rays in 2013, my last year playing as like a special assistant scout. So he was up in Durham a lot. And then we kept tabs on each other when he was the farm director with the Dodgers, and Brandon Gomes works in their front office, who I played with. So we kind of kept in touch. So obviously we knew each other. So the conversation was definitely more baseball specific. They kind of get into philosophies and stuff. And like I said, it took an hour and a half, that conversation. And then probably about 45 minutes later, he reached back out with an offer. So I asked him, I was like, hey man, I need some time to think about it. He's like, I respect that. Let me talk it over with my wife Genevieve. It was just such a surreal moment knowing that, okay, finally a big league opportunity arrives. Your whole life, that's what you've been working for, player, coach, whatever the case may be, to get in the big leagues. But then also me, I'm loyal, a very loyal guy, and the Rays treated me so well as a player, as a staff member. So the thought of leaving them was daunting. It was tough. There was a lot of variables that came into play, and we talked it through. And to add some fuel to the fire, when I reached out to Eric, I texted him. It was during the weighted meeting, so I texted Eric Neander. I was like, hey, I just want to give you a heads up. The Giants made me an offer. He's like, well, that's funny. The Pirates just called about you, and they want to talk to you. So that got thrown in there as well. So that made that emotional roller coaster even a little more bumpy. But obviously, made the call to be with the Giants. And like I said, it was such a surreal day. And everything honestly happened so fast. Everything was taken care of that day, that December 11th.
Wow. Now, your role with the Giants is going to be bullpen coach / catching coach. Start off with the catching coach. What do you do to coach a future Hall of Famer?
Honestly, I mean, you just learn from him. It's Buster Posey, man. He's great, man. Like when you watch video of him, you see him play, you see the accolades, what he's done, perfect games, no hitters, MVP, Rookie of the Year, 3 World Series championship. I mean, it's ridiculous what he's done in his career. And the athleticism just jumps out at you when you watch him on video. I mean, obviously what he did at Florida State, being a shortstop, he played all 9 positions in one game. Like I said, uber athletic, but what really stood out was just a high character guy he is. Such a great family man, husband, father, just a really great down to earth guy. And he asks really great questions. Like, he doesn't have it figured out. He's always looking for an edge, something new. And that's not even talking to me. That's him interacting with other catchers during camp. Guys that come in from different organizations, like, hey man, what have you been doing? Just generally asking questions to try to get better. So it's been great coaching him. I started out right when I got the job. The first thing I did was I gave it a couple of days, obviously, to soak in, but I reached out to Buster. I want to introduce myself, and because obviously he probably does not know who I am at all. So we had a great conversation just to get to know each other. We didn't talk baseball. We talked about our families, our kids. Then I ended up circling back with him before camp, and I wanted to get his input on what he's done. I mean, he's had such a great career, and I'll be remiss if I didn't ask him like how he prepared for his season. And obviously I had my own program and plan that I wanted to put in place, but I definitely wanted Bus's spin on it and his ownership in the catching program. So it's a joy to work with him. It's just been, like you said, it's a Hall of Famer. So there's not many scenarios where you can actually coach a future Hall of Famer.
Switching over to the bullpen now. As the bullpen coach, you're kind of the unsung guy who has to make sure every single player that you let go from the bullpen is going to step in and be at his best. Run me through what goes on in the relationship when somebody's got to get up and start getting loose.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one, because one, you have to figure out how each guy warms up. A lot of guys need a lot more throws to get warm up. A lot of guys need more time off the mound. Some guys only want 2 throws off the mound. They want to kind of watch the game and see where it's at. I mean, there's a lot of different variables that come into play for each guy, and that's when you kind of have to know your player. You have to kind of take a holistic approach to knowing each guy and how they tick and go from there. And there's the advanced scouting component as well. Who's coming up at bat, they pinch hit. This guy's going to come off the bench. This is how your stuff plays with him. And some guys relish that information. They want that. And there's other guys that don't want that. So again, and that goes to knowing the guy. And it's definitely a component of kind of keeping the guys loose as well. Hopefully the bullpen we don't get the phone call until inning 7, but so there's a lot of downtimes. You want to make sure, one, that they're loose, but also they're engaged. You don't want those guys to be caught off guard. So there's a lot of work this spring training of kind of how we get guys prepared. Whether that's med balls, weighted balls, plyo balls, just band stuff down in the bullpen to kind of get them a ramp up and a routine for those guys to kind of get mentally prepared, but also physically ready. So that's kind of like the push-pull effect of knowing the guys and making sure that they're ready to perform when they go out on the mound. And I mean, that's the art of coaching, right? Is to kind of put everyone the best chance to succeed. And with the variable of the bullpen, it's a little more difficult.
How's your time divided? You spend more time with the catchers, more time with the pitchers, or are they together as a group? Is it 60-40? How do you do that?
Really good question. I'm definitely a lot more with the catchers. I wouldn't say my interaction, but what I'm definitely in with the pitchers would be, one, when they're throwing the bullpen. Because obviously it's twofold. The catchers are catching the pitches, and then the pitchers are throwing, so I get to kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And then obviously there's a lot more in-depth conversations during the game in the bullpen. We have 2 pitching coaches with the Giants, so we have an assistant pitching coach and a regular pitching coach. So we have Andrew Bailey and Ethan Katz, so they're with them all the time. So they got that covered. We also have a director of pitching, but that's more of a Brian Bannister, highly intelligent guy. That's more of a organizational philosophy type deal. He's based out of San Francisco for home games, so he'll be there. But he travels around all the way from the Dominican Summer League and all the way up to the big league. So he's So he's there as well. But there's a lot of conversations behind the scenes with the pitching coaches and myself where it's when the bullpen guys, if they found a cue or a drill or something that kind of unlocked a slider or some location, they'll pass along to me. So I have that in my back pocket as it is. But yeah, so the majority of my time is with the catching, and it's also a different scenario where it's kind of, I would say like the 80s and 90s, the bullpen coach was also the catching guy, but now with the staff's growing, the catching guy is usually in a dugout for obvious reasons because the catcher's in the game and he comes off the field and you get chat with him in the dugout. But now that I'm in the bullpen, a lot of prep work is done beforehand. So when the game happens, I'm not down there, so the catcher has an idea what's going on. And then I also will coach up one of the staff members in there to kind of like, hey, man, when Busto or whoever is struggling or this is going on, this is usually what's taking place, so we can kind of get ahead of that.
That's great. I want to go back to the end of your career at Eckerd, the draft, signing as a free agent, playing, hanging in there. Your pop time's better than Pudge Rodriguez. Nobody thought they'd ever see that happen, and you did it. You did it for the course of the season. Talk about what it was like to go from the player into the coach. You were manager of the year. You won 90 games in a minor league season, which is kind of the earmark of a phenomenal year. Talk about the rings. Everybody wants to see the rings, wants to hear about that because that's kind of what everybody plays for. So kind of take me through from graduation day when you graduated number one in your class, right?
Number one, that's right. Alphabetical order, baby. Alphabetical order. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Yeah. I mean, graduating from Eckerd College is still probably one of my greatest accomplishments, man. Just all the work that put into it from yourself, my family. I had very fortunate to be around some great teammates that helped me graduate. Like we all helped each other. That family atmosphere at Eckerd. It's a lot of work. Juggling baseball, juggling the amount of schoolwork. And still having a life off the field and outside the classroom. And that's one thing I really relish about Eckerd. It really taught me, time management, organizational skills, critical thinking, problem solving. Like those components really helped me to where I am today. But going back to the initial graduation and not being drafted and not even a contract offer after I graduated college, like that was probably the turning point in my life. We all know when I was in college, I was very cocky and brash, but that's how I played. I'm a smaller guy. I say that I didn't have a chip on my shoulder. I had a boulder on my shoulder that I played with. And, it was also, it hurt me in some cases, but it also made me get to the position I was at Eckerd. So I didn't get drafted. I went home with my tail between my legs because I thought it was the greatest catch I'd ever played. And next thing you know, I wasn't. So I had to get a real job and kind of fend for myself. The identity of not being a baseball player for the first time was tough. It was tough to swallow. I had a tough time dealing with it. But got a job and went back to Massachusetts, played in the men's league, the Cranberry League, and, fortunate from there where it's like, hey, independent opportunity came about for indie ball and signed there, came down to Eckerd to work out that fall and worked at Enterprise Rent-A-Car over in Largo. So, it paid the bills, but also worked out. And then that's when one of the catchers retired, and that's when you became my agent. They reached out to you to see if I was in shape, ready to play. But it was crazy, going to spring training, the amount of bodies that were there, and knowing that I was just there to kind of be a filler, just an extra body to catch pens, and and you kind of size yourself up as a competitor and as an athlete, and I realized, like, what, I could play at this level. I can show I can do some things. And I took advantage of every opportunity I had. And I was very fortunate to play 9 great years. Played on some great teams, 4 championship rings as a player. Played with some great players, caught some great pitchers, Cy Young Award winners, David Price, James Shields, Jeremy Hellickson, and playing with Longo. Like, the list goes on. Very, very blessed, very fortunate. Then went to go play with the Tigers, and it kind of continued from there, being able to be in the same clubhouse with Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez, Justin Verlander, and Max Scherzer. Like the list goes on. It was awesome. They took great care of me. I mean, Alex Avila was outstanding to me. We have a great relationship. It's just those little relationships that you don't take for granted. And then after the 14th season, I had an opportunity to still play, but no big league camp invite. I was going to big league camp for the past 6 or 7 years. So now the writing's on the wall where it's like, okay, I'm probably not going to be a big leaguer as a player. And then that's when the Rays reached out about me being as a possible coach, hitting coach in rookie ball in Princeton, and also be the catching coach for that level. I had to make a decision. It's something I always wanted to do. And it was either hang on and play for another 2 years at the minor leagues, or kind of jump on the coaching opportunity. So I ended up jumping on the coaching opportunity. And I was very fortunate to have some great people in place with the Rays that helped my transition. Bill Levis, the late Jimmy Hoff, Paul Hoover, Jared Sandberg, Kyle Snyder. There's so many great people over with the Rays that helped me make that transition.
What made your decision to go to Eckerd College? Coming out of Somerset, small town New England, how'd you end up with me?
I know. I still ask myself that question every single day, man. How did I end up being around you? I always wanted to go to Providence College. That was my school I wanted to go to. Good baseball program, close to home, good academics. But they end up losing the baseball program for Title IX. So I know they didn't have a baseball program, and I wasn't interested to go in any school in the Northeast of New England. And I was very fortunate to be a part of some showcases up there. At the time, it was free. If you were good, you just go there and worked out. Now they charge an arm and a leg for parents and kids, which is a shame. But at the time when I was there, it was free, and working out at that showcase in Jet Crows and Lynn, Mass. I still remember the conversation. A couple of scouts that had ties with you. Obviously you being from Newport, they asked me where I wanted to go to school, and I told them straight out, I'm like, I have no interest in going to any school in the Northeast. I would love to go down south. That's where I want to go. He's like, you know what? I know you're perfect place for you. Great coach, great person. It'll be awesome. And I was like, okay, cool. And the next thing you know, you called, we talked. You came up to Mass for the weekend, and we had a great conversation. Just loved how forthright and honest you were with me. It was a breath of fresh air. You weren't trying to sell anything. You were just being yourself, and that's something I admire to this day about you. And then, obviously flying down for the visit in February, come from Massachusetts. It was beautiful weather, palm trees, water around, baseball. It was everything. That visit just blew me out of the water. And just being around the players and the people on the team, it was something I wanted to be a part of.
One thing I always wanted to ask you, I'm going to backtrack a little bit, but I don't think I have in all the times we've talked. What meant more to you, winning a ring as a player or winning a ring as a manager?
100% as a manager. I was very fortunate to have won 2 rings as a manager. So at the short season level in 2017, I won a ring, and then in 18 I won. That was the year you were talking about. We won 90 games, minor league team of the year. But yeah, those 2 rings so special to me, and we did it 2 different ways. The first ring was in the short season. So short season is obviously a shorter season. It's after the draft, and we actually lost 13 games in a row. So we lost 13 games in a row early in the year, which is crippling to any team. Long season, no matter what it is, but especially in a short season. And to credit to our staff and the players, they every day they show up to work. They were trying to get better, and their demeanor and attitude did not waver, did not change. And we ended up turning everything around, and we ended up winning 12 in a row. We got into the playoffs as a wild card, and we ran the table. So that ring was extremely special. Just the grind and the grit that those players showed that season was awesome. So obviously, popping bottles, champagne made everything that much sweeter that year. And then the following year was such a completely different scenario than the previous year. I mean, we coming out of spring training, long season, our pitching was supposed to be what was going to drive us. We had a lot of young, very young position players, which is rare for us at that level. Especially, we had a lot of young Latin players. So their baseball acumen is not up to speed as far as guys stateside. I mean, guys stateside have been playing organized baseball, some of them since they were 5. And then you get the young Latin kids who've never played organized baseball until they sign. So the teaching the game, it was completely different, but the position play stepped up. Our pitching struggled a little bit, but they ended up figuring it out. But we just ended up honestly just running through that league. So we won the first half. So the Midwest League, how they do it is that if you win the first half, you're already in the playoffs. So we won the first half. So now we're celebrating in June on the field for playoffs that happen in September. So it's such a weird dynamic. So now my staff had to figure out was, okay, how are we going to keep these guys invested and engaged for the rest of the year? Because now they can easily just be like, no, we're good. I'm going to go out, be selfish and handle their own business knowing that we're already in the playoffs. But our staff and the players' credit, they still bought in and we dominated the second half, and then we went through the playoffs. So both rings were completely two different teams, done it different ways, and just as special. Just being around, like I said, great staff and then just great players. Just very, very fortunate to be around those guys.
Talk about your favorite memories, favorite thing about Eckerd in your experience with us in the time that you were here.
Yeah, that's another great question. Honestly, my favorite thing about Eckerd, most memorable thing was, I mean, obviously being at the field with everybody, with the boys. But that was great. I cherish those moments. What I really cherish and look back on that makes me smile and what I love was after those hard days on the field, those being in the classroom and then being on the field, is going to the cafeteria and sitting down and just relaxing for a little bit with everybody. We had so many great conversations. I remember being in the cafeteria for about an hour and a half. We just sit there. It was the only time that we kind of get to relax and kind of let our shoulders down for a little bit before we had to go back and do homework, whatever the case may be. So it was to have, and we end up, it's funny, when I was there, we kind of had a bad rep, the baseball players, just because we were always together. But to me, I love that. And I love that unity. I mean, we always had a table of all of us together, but that was just because it was tough for other students and especially sports to understand was, I mean, even sports now, like baseball is such a different dynamic. Like we're at the field, we play every single day, and in from fall, spring, whatever, just long seasons. So to have that time, just eating food, just talking about life and in school, and off the field stuff is like those memories I'll forever cherish, and that's something I took with me to at the professional level. Going out to dinner and lunch, breakfast, whatever the case may be. As a player, we had a breakfast club. Guys, we would, like 10 of us would wake up, go eat breakfast, sit down, talk shop, hang out. As a manager, we had team. I would take the team out, whether it's Dave and Buster's, whatever restaurant it was, as a team, everyone to kind of hang out and relax. So that's something I really cherish was definitely just hanging out at the caf.
Well, we've run through a lot in a short period of time, and I made it real clear about my feelings and how you impacted the program at Eckerd while you were here. What's the best piece of advice that you can give current student athletes, regardless of their sport?
Enjoy it. I mean, just enjoy every single minute while you're there. I mean, that's something that I learned at Eckerd, and I still am trying to hone in on, especially now with family and kids, is just kind of being in the moment. It's in this world, there's a lot going on. Social media, we have a lot of stuff at our fingertips, but just to be in the moment and really cherish where you're at. Especially in college. I mean, obviously, we're all invested in, and we want to succeed. We want to be great at sport. We want to get good grades, the GPA, land that job, but to take a deep breath and step back and be in the moment. For me, I still struggle with, and I know it's valuable when it's something where something clicks for me and I'm there. It makes me feel very gratified. And also, looking back on it in college, like the midweek, you don't have to go out and go to the bar on a Tuesday night or go to that party on a Wednesday. Like it's okay. Like get your schoolwork, take care of your business. Go to the weight room. Do what your teammates want you to do. It's funny. It's something I still say to this day. When I was a field coordinator with the Rays, it's something I told all the players in the organization is that winning is tough and winning isn't for everybody, and success isn't for everybody. It takes a lot of work. There's a lot of sacrifices that come into play. A lot of people say that they want to win and succeed, which is true. You can say it, but the actions and the work, the time and effort and to put into it, I mean, it's a lot. I mean, so if something that you want to do and something you're passionate about, put all your energy into that. And this is coming on the heels of the Last Dance documentary and seeing Michael Jordan doing his thing. I mean, that's a whole different level. But you know what? He elevated his teammates. He elevated his coach, to be great. And that's something where if all of us as student athletes and athletes in general can take a small part of that and bring it to our everyday lives, we'll be in a good spot.
Well, I can't be any proud of anybody that ever played for me, man. You're a credit to a great upbringing, great family, and the experiences that you had in baseball along the way have turned you into a superb big leaguer. So I wish you the very best, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for having me. This was great. Thank you.